The Galactic Council chamber hummed with the voices of 1,000 different species. Ambassador Crix of the Vorthan Empire stood at the central podium, his forearms gesturing wildly as he spoke about trade routes and mineral rights. The human representative, Ambassador James Walker, sat quietly in the corner section reserved for newer species. Most delegates ignored him completely. For 50 years, humanity had been the galaxy's joke. When Earth first made contact with the greater galactic community, they discovered a harsh truth. Humans were newcomers in a universe where some civilizations had existed for millions of years. The Vorthans controlled half the galaxy with their fleet of moon-sized battleships. The Zellari dominated trade with their instant travel technology. Even the peaceful Quellans possessed weapons that could destroy entire solar systems. Earth had nothing to offer except raw materials and cheap labor. Human ships were tiny, fragile things compared to the massive vessels of established powers. The council meetings always went the same way. Bigger species made decisions, and humanity watched from the sidelines. Commander Lisa Park stood on the bridge of humanity's flagship, the UES Victory. At 300 meters long, it was humanity's largest warship, yet it looked like a toy next to the Vorthan Dreadnoughts floating nearby. Her crew worked quietly at their stations, monitoring the feed from the council meeting. "Captain, we are receiving an encrypted message from Earth Command," Lieutenant Tom Rivers announced from the communications station. Park's eyes narrowed. Earth Command only used their highest encryption for one thing. "Put it through to my private terminal." The message was brief. "Project Titan is complete. Phase 1 begins in 72 hours. Maintain current position and await further orders." Park felt her heart race. For 20 years, Earth had been building something in the outer reaches of the solar system. The project consumed half of humanity's resources. Entire asteroids had been hollowed out and processed. Mars had been strip-mined down to its core. The gas giants had been harvested for fuel. Every human colony had contributed materials, workers, and technology. The other species noticed the activity, but dismissed it. The Vorthans laughed at humanity's desperate attempt to build a proper fleet. Zaluri mocked their primitive construction methods. After all, what could a species that had only achieved faster-than-light travel 50 years ago possibly create that would matter? Back in the council chamber, Ambassador Crix continued his speech about Vorthan superiority. "The natural order of the galaxy is clear," he declared. "Those with power lead, and those without follow. This has been true for eons, and it will remain true forever." Walker stood up slowly. Every eye in the chamber turned to him in surprise. Humans never spoke during general sessions. "Ambassador Crix," Walker said, his voice calm and measured, "I would like to propose a change to the current territorial agreements." The chamber erupted in laughter. The Vorthan ambassador's scales shifted to a shade of amused purple. "The humans wish to negotiate? With what leverage? Your entire fleet could fit inside one of our cargo bays." Walker smiled slightly. "Things change, Ambassador. The galaxy is about to learn that humanity has been very busy during our quiet years. Threats from insects mean nothing to giants." Crix replied dismissively. "It's not a threat," Walker said, checking his watch. "It's a schedule update. In 72 hours, humanity will be presenting our new diplomatic position. I suggest all council members attend. You won't want to miss it." The human ambassador sat back down, leaving the chamber in confused silence. Several species exchanged worried glances. Humanity had never spoken with such confidence before. On the Victory, Commander Park received another message. "All human vessels are to return to Earth immediately. Do not engage with any foreign ships. Do not answer questions. The age of hiding is over." As human ships across the galaxy began their journey home, space monitoring stations detected something unusual. Massive gravity signatures were appearing in empty space around Earth's solar system. Something huge was moving in the darkness between stars. something that hadn't been there before. The galaxy was about to discover what humanity had been building in secret, and nothing would ever be the same again. 3 days later. Every major news network in the galaxy pointed their sensors toward Earth's solar system. The human ambassador's cryptic message had sparked curiosity across thousands of worlds. Ships from every major power gathered at the designated coordinates just beyond Neptune's orbit. The Vorthan Empire alone sent 50 dreadnoughts, each one a kilometer long and bristling with weapons. Admiral Thrawn of the Vorthan fleet stood on his command deck, surrounded by tactical displays. "Whatever trick the humans have planned, we'll expose it for the desperate ploy it is," he said to his officers. "Prepare to scan everything. I want to know what they're hiding." The Zelari merchant prince, Dex, watched from his luxury cruiser. His species had built their fortune on predicting market changes, and something told him this moment would be important. "Double our recording equipment," he ordered. "I have a feeling we're about to witness history." At exactly the appointed time, space itself seemed to ripple. The gathered fleet's sensors went wild, detecting gravity distortions unlike anything in their databases. Then, from behind Jupiter, it emerged. The silence on every bridge was deafening. What moved into view wasn't a ship in any traditional sense. It was a sphere of metal and energy the size of Earth's moon, covered in weapons platforms, shield generators, and propulsion systems that defied conventional understanding. The surface wasn't smooth, but consisted of millions of interlocking segments, each one capable of independent movement and function. "Impossible," Admiral Thrawn whispered. His scanner showed the object's mass readings, but his mind refused to accept them. Nothing that size can move that fast. The energy requirements alone would need. His science officer interrupted. "Sir, it's not using conventional propulsion. They're manipulating space-time itself, creating their own gravity wells for movement." Before anyone could respond, space rippled again. Another sphere emerged, this one from behind Saturn. Then another from the asteroid belt. And another. And another. Within minutes, 12 planet-sized warships had revealed themselves, having hidden throughout Earth's solar system. Each one dwarfed the entire combined fleet of the Galactic Council, a transmission broadcast on all frequencies. Commander Park's face appeared on every screen, but she now wore a different uniform, one bearing the insignia of Fleet Admiral. "Distinguished members of the Galactic Council," she began, "allow me to introduce the Titan class, vessels of Earth's deep space fleet. These 12 ships represent just our first production run." The gathered aliens watched in stunned silence as one of the spheres began to transform. Its surface segments rearranged themselves, revealing weapon systems that stretched for hundreds of kilometers. Energy readings spiked to levels that made hardened military officers step back from their screens. "For 50 years, you dismissed humanity as weak," Park continued. "You forced us to mine our worlds to exhaustion, paying us pittance for resources while denying us advanced technology. But humans have always been good at learning. We studied every ship that visited our space. We analyzed every piece of technology you sold us. And then we improved upon it." The Zelari prince was the first to find his voice. "The energy signatures. You're using artificial singularities as power sources. Hundreds of them per ship." "Correct," Park replied. "We discovered that by properly harnessing micro-black holes, we could generate virtually unlimited power. Each Titan carries enough firepower to crack a planet in half, and shields strong enough to fly through a star." Admiral Thrawn's tactical officer spoke urgently. "Sir, I'm detecting construction signatures from the outer system. They're building more of them. The construction rate suggests." "Sir, they could produce one of these every month." The Admiral's scales had turned pale white, a color of deep fear. "This is impossible. The resources alone. We hollowed out entire moons," Park explained. "We developed von Neumann construction systems that could self-replicate and build at exponential rates. While you laughed at our primitive technology, we were literally reconstructing our entire solar system into a military-industrial complex. On Earth, Ambassador Walker stood before the council chamber, which was watching the same feed. "Humanity wishes to renegotiate our position in the Galactic Council," he said simply. "We believe it's time for a more equitable distribution of resources and territory." 12 Titans moved into formation, their combined mass actually affecting the orbits of nearby asteroids. One of them, designated Titan 01, powered up what appeared to be its main weapon. A beam of energy shot out, carefully aimed at empty space. Where it struck, a small moon that had been placed there as a target simply ceased to exist, not destroyed, but completely converted to energy. The demonstration was clear. Humanity was no longer asking for a seat at the table. They were bringing their own table, and it was bigger than anyone else's. Asterisk. 6 months had passed since humanity's revelation, and the galaxy struggled to adjust to its new reality. The Galactic Council chambers had been rebuilt, literally. Humanity had provided construction drones that expanded the station to 3 times its original size, with the human section now occupying a prominent position rather than a forgotten corner. Ambassador Walker sat at the new circular discussion table, where every species now had equal seating. The old hierarchy based on military might had crumbled overnight. The Vorthans, once the galaxy's supreme power, found themselves in the strange position of negotiating rather than demanding. "Trade route through the Nexus system will remain open to all," Walker stated firmly. "No single species will control vital pathways anymore." Crix, the Vorthan ambassador, struggled with his new reality. His empire's 1,000 dreadnoughts meant nothing against even 1 Titan. "And if we refuse these terms?" "You won't," Walker replied simply. "Because humanity isn't interested in conquest. We're interested in balance." This was the part that confused the galaxy most. Humanity could have enslaved everyone, could have demanded tribute, could have destroyed entire civilizations for their past insults. Instead, they had proposed something unprecedented, a truly equal galactic community. On Titan 07, Admiral Park reviewed the latest reports with her staff. The massive sphere's command center was a city unto itself, housing 50,000 crew members. But most of the ship ran itself, controlled by advanced AI systems that humanity had developed in secret. "The Quellans are requesting assistance with their food crisis," Lieutenant Rivers reported. "Their agricultural worlds are suffering from a plague. Deploy agricultural drones from Titan 03, Park ordered, and send our bioengineers to help them develop resistant crops." This had become routine. The Titans spent more time on humanitarian missions than military ones. Their enormous cargo bays, designed to carry weapons, instead carried supplies, construction equipment, and medical facilities. It was a deliberate choice. Humanity wanted to be seen as protectors, not conquerors. But not everyone was happy with the new order. In the outer reaches of Vorthan space, a secret meeting took place. Admiral Thrawn had gathered commanders from several species who resented humanity's sudden rise. "They can't watch everywhere at once," he insisted. 12 ships, no matter how large, can't control an entire galaxy. A Zalari commander spoke up. "My spies report they're building more. The number could be 50 within 2 years. Then we strike now," Thrawn declared. "A coordinated attack on Earth itself. Destroy their construction facilities, and they can't build more." It was a desperate plan, but desperation made people dangerous. 3 weeks later, the attack came. 500 ships from various species jumped into Earth's solar system simultaneously, weapons charged and ready. Their plan was simple: overwhelm Earth's defenses before the Titans could respond. They lasted exactly 43 seconds. The moment they appeared, Earth's hidden defensive systems activated. Humanity hadn't just built 12 Titans. They had turned their entire solar system into a fortress. Every asteroid had been converted into a weapons platform. Every moon housed shield generators. Jupiter itself had been turned into a massive sensor array. But humanity didn't fire a shot. Instead, every attacking ship found itself suddenly powerless. Their systems shut down by targeted EMP waves that left life support running, but nothing else. They floated helplessly as Titan 01 through Titan 04 jumped in around them. Admiral Park's face appeared on every disabled ship. "You've made a mistake," she said calmly. "But humanity understands desperation. We've been desperate before. So here's what's going to happen. Your ships will be repaired and returned to you. Your crews will be fed and treated well. And when you return home, you'll carry a message." She paused, letting the weight of the moment sink in. "Humanity didn't build these ships to rule over you. We built them because we were tired of being ruled over. The galaxy has enough resources for everyone. There are enough stars for every species to thrive. The age of empires is over. The age of cooperation has begun." On Vorthan Prime, the population watched as their fleet returned unharmed. The message was clear. Humanity could destroy them at any moment, but chose not to. It was mercy from a position of absolute strength, something the Vorthans had never shown when they held power. Slowly, gradually, the galaxy began to understand. Humanity wasn't interested in revenge or domination. They had suffered under the boot of stronger species and refused to become what they had hated. The 12 Titans continued their patrols, but now they were seen differently. Not as conquerors, but as guardians. Not as threats, but as protectors of a new peace. Asterisk, 2 years into humanity's new role as galactic peacekeepers, long-range sensors detected something troubling. The signals came from beyond the galaxy's edge, from the vast emptiness between galaxies where nothing should exist. Admiral Park stood in Titan 01's Strategic Command Center, studying the data with representatives from every major species. The cooperation that had seemed impossible 3 years ago was now routine. The signatures match nothing in our databases, Zalari scientist Dex reported. But the patterns suggest artificial origin. Something is coming. The readings showed massive objects moving through intergalactic space at speeds that shouldn't be possible. They were still years away at their current pace, but their trajectory was clear, straight toward the Milky Way. How many? Walker asked from Earth. "At least 1,000, Park replied. "Each one roughly the size of our Titans." The room fell silent. Humanity's 24 Titans, they had continued building, suddenly seemed less impressive. 3 months later, the first probe arrived. It was small, no bigger than a standard shuttle, but its technology was beyond anything the galaxy had seen. It scanned everything, ignoring all attempts at communication. Before self-destructing in a burst of exotic radiation, the message it left behind was simple and terrifying. Your galaxy has been selected for harvesting. Resistance is irrelevant. The Devourers come. The Galactic Council convened in emergency session. Old rivalries vanished in the face of existential threat. The Vorthans shared their military databases. The Zalari opened their technology vaults. The Quellans offered their scientific expertise. And humanity had a plan. "We need more Titans," Park explained to the assembled leaders. But not just human Titans. Every species has unique technologies, unique perspectives. If we combine our knowledge, we can build something even greater. Ambassador Crick stood. The Vorthan Empire pledges all its resources. Our armada will be retrofitted with human technology. The Zalari will share our instant travel systems, Dex added. If we can integrate them into the Titans, response time becomes instantaneous. What followed was the largest cooperative effort in galactic history. The construction facilities around Earth were duplicated in every major system. Humans worked alongside Vorthans, teaching them the secrets of singularity manipulation. Zelari engineers integrated their technology into Titan designs. Quellans developed new weapons based on biological systems that could adapt and evolve. Within a year, a united galactic fleet had grown to 200 Titan-class vessels, each one unique, incorporating the best of every species' technology. But more importantly, crews were mixed. Humans served alongside former enemies, learning from each other, trusting each other. Captain Tom Rivers, promoted from his lieutenant position, commanded Titan 99 with a Vorthan first officer and a Zelari chief engineer. A crew of 50,000 represented 30 different species. It shouldn't have worked, but facing annihilation had a way of bringing people together. The Devourers arrived ahead of schedule. They emerged from hyperspace at the galaxy's edge like a plague of metal locusts. Their ships were bizarre constructions, asymmetrical and constantly shifting, as if they were alive. The first inhabited system in their path was Kepler 442, a Quellan colony of 3 billion souls. The battle lasted 4 hours. 50 Titans responded to the distress call, arriving via Zelari jump technology within minutes. The Devourers had expected easy prey, civilizations that would crumble before their advanced technology. They hadn't expected the galaxy to be united. They hadn't expected the Titans. The fighting was brutal. Devourer ships could reform themselves, absorbing damage and reconstituting. But the Titans' adaptive systems, enhanced by Quellan biotechnology, could match them change for change. Vorthan tactical knowledge, refined over millennia of warfare, guided the fleet's movements. Human determination, the same stubborn refusal to accept defeat that had driven them to build the Titans in the first place, held the line. When the battle ended, Kepler 442 still stood. 30 Devourer ships had been destroyed, their technology captured for study. The United Fleet had lost 3 Titans, but their crews had been evacuated in time. The Devourers sent another message. Unexpected resistance noted. Full fleet deployment authorized. The war for the galaxy's survival had begun, but for the first time in history, the Milky Way would face it united. The 100,000 remaining Devourer ships would not find easy prey. They would find a galaxy that had learned the most important lesson humanity had to teach. Together, the impossible becomes possible. Asterisk. The final battle took place in the void between galaxies, where space itself seemed darker, emptier, more hostile to life. 1,000 Titans faced 10,000 Devourer vessels in what historians would later call the Battle of the Empty Dark. Admiral Park, now commanding from Titan Prime, a super Titan built with the combined resources of the entire galaxy, looked at her mixed-species bridge crew. Her first officer was Thrawn, the same Vorthan who had once tried to destroy Earth. Her science officer was Dex, who had transformed from merchant to military genius. Around her stood representatives of every species in the galaxy. All ships. "This is Admiral Park," she broadcast to the fleet. 3 years ago, humanity stood alone, dismissed and ignored. Today, we stand together, not as humans or Vorthans or Zelari, but as one galaxy, one people. The Devourers think we're just another meal. Let's show them they've bitten off more than they can chew. The battle began with the Titans forming a sphere formation, something only possible because of the Quellan biological computing systems that allowed perfect coordination between ships. Each Titan's weapons fired in sequence, creating a continuous wave of destruction that carved through Devourer ranks. But the Devourers adapted quickly. Their ships merged into larger constructs, becoming massive entity ships that dwarfed even the Titans. One such merged vessel, made from 100 smaller ships, grabbed Titan 44 in energy tentacles and began crushing it. "Jump Pattern Alpha," Park commanded. Using Zelari technology, 50 Titans teleported inside the formation of the merged vessel, firing from within. It was a tactic no single species could have developed. It required human audacity, salary technology, and Vorthan tactical precision. The battle raged for 6 hours. Space itself seemed to burn, as weapons that could shatter planets clashed against shields powered by captured stars. The Devourers fought with desperate hunger, having never encountered such resistance in their millions of years of galaxy harvesting. Then, humanity revealed its final secret. "Admiral, the sleeper fleet is in position," Captain Rivers reported from Titan 99. Park smiled grimly. "Activate them." Throughout the battlefield, what appeared to be debris from destroyed Titans suddenly came alive. Humanity had seeded the entire combat zone with dormant micro-Titans, each no bigger than a standard fighter, but carrying singularity bombs. They swarmed the Devourer fleet like angry hornets, too small to target effectively, too numerous to stop. The Devourer command ship, a monstrous thing the size of a small moon, sent out a desperate message. "Cease. We yield. No galaxy has ever." "You came to devour us," Park interrupted. "You gave us no choice but extinction. Now face the same choice. Leave and never return, or be destroyed completely." For a moment, the void was silent except for the humming of thousands of weapon systems maintaining their locks. The Devourer response came slowly. "We accept. We will mark this galaxy as forbiddance. No Devourer will ever return." As the enemy fleet retreated into intergalactic space, a cheer erupted across the United Fleet. But Park remained focused, watching until the last Devourer signature disappeared from sensors. In the aftermath, as the fleet returned home, something remarkable happened. The United Command structure didn't dissolve. The mixed crews didn't separate. The shared technology wasn't hidden away. The galaxy had been fundamentally changed. Earth became the site of the new Galactic Unity Council, but it wasn't human-dominated. Each species had equal representation, equal voice, equal power. The Titans were distributed evenly, with crews that represented the galaxy's diversity. Ambassador Walker, now an elder statesman, gave the dedication speech for the Unity Monument, a massive structure floating above Earth, built from pieces of every Titan that had fallen in battle. "Humanity's greatest strength was never our technology," he said to the assembled trillions watching across the galaxy. "It was our ability to see potential where others saw weakness. We were weak once, so we understood that strength could come from unexpected places. We were divided on our own world for millennia, so we knew the power of unity." He paused, looking at the crowd that contained every known species. The Titans were never about human dominance. They were about showing the galaxy that the smallest voice could become the loudest, that the weakest could become the strongest, that enemies could become family. Today, we're not humans, Vorthans, Zalari, or any single species. We're galactic citizens, united in our diversity. The Titans continued to patrol, but now they carried explorers, not just soldiers. They built rather than destroyed. They connected civilizations rather than divided them. And in the deepest archives of Earth, humanity kept the plans for something even greater than the Titans, just in case the galaxy ever needed protecting again. Because that's what humanity had become. Not conquerors, not rulers, but guardians of a peace earned through unity. The galaxy no longer trembled at humanity's power. It stood stronger because of it. Asterisk.